A homeless man won $238 on a lottery ticket, but the store clerk refused to cash it, claiming that the winning numbers were incorrect. The next second, the homeless man pulled out a weapon from his pocket. He pushed the ticket back to the clerk and warned him to cash it immediately. At this moment, a stranger walked over to them. The man, Jack, offered to buy the homeless man's lottery ticket for $200, as long as the homeless man didn't harm anyone else in the convenience store. This instantly quelled the homeless man's anger, and he accepted Jack's offer. He took the ticket and walked out of the store with Jack. Jack advised the homeless man to find a proper job, but the homeless man was indifferent. Instead, he asked Jack if there was anything he needed help with. Jack's sense of superiority kicked in. He was the president of an investment company on Wall Street, living a life with $1 million annual salary, a car, and a house. He had absolute decision-making power in the company and no shortage of young, beautiful female companions in his life. Jack proudly said he lacked nothing. However, the homeless man laughed and oddly remarked that Jack's current life was all his own choice. This left Jack puzzled, but he didn't take the homeless man's words to heart. However, what happened next changed the trajectory of his original life. Jack returned to his mansion to rest as usual, but when he woke up, he found himself lying in a strange bed. Beside him was his first love from 13 years ago, and even more terrifying, 2 children were calling him Dad. Jack thought he was dreaming. He got dressed and hurried downstairs, only to find his Ferrari had turned into a shabby van, and his mansion in the city center had become a wooden house in the suburbs. Jack drove dozens of kilometers to his previous apartment, but the security guard ruthlessly stopped him at the door. Jack couldn't believe it. The usually enthusiastic guard had become so cold, and even the neighbors didn't recognize him. They mocked him, saying if he had nowhere to stay, they could help him find a shelter. Already unable to accept the huge sense of disparity, Jack became even angrier upon hearing her words. He claimed his room was twice the size of the woman's. However, the guard thought he was talking nonsense and said she would call the police if he didn't leave. In the end, Jack had to leave in frustration. He went to his company, only to find that no one recognized him there either, and his position as company president had been replaced by a colleague. Jack ran out in horror. Suddenly, a Ferrari stopped in front of him. Upon closer look, the driver was none other than the homeless man from the convenience store. He ignored the homeless man's greeting and angrily accused him of stealing his car. The homeless man told Jack that this was a parallel world, where he would find things he had lost in the past. It turned out that everything Jack possessed now originated from his breakup with his first love 13 years ago. In pursuit of his grand ambitions, Jack, who had just graduated from college, left his girlfriend Kate and came to Wall Street alone to make a name for himself. Although he had enviable wealth and status, he had never forgotten the guilt of this past relationship, leaving him without the courage to contact Kate again. Jack wanted to return to his original life, but the homeless man said that once the experience started, it couldn't be stopped. Only when he found what he truly lacked in this spacetime could he return to his original timeline. Left with no choice, Jack could only return to the suburban home according to the map. As soon as he got home, his wife eagerly hugged him. Kate had been looking for him all day, worried that something had happened to him outside and almost called the police. Seeing the woman he once loved worrying about him, for the first time, Jack had the urge to stay. However, he quickly dismissed this thought. In this spacetime, he didn't have a luxurious walk-in closet, only cheap clothes and shoes. What made him even more devastated was that the house still had 10 years of monthly payments left. The friends around him were also mediocre. Jack learned from his colleagues that Kate in this spacetime was a public interest lawyer who helped people fight lawsuits for free and had no salary. The next day, Jack woke up again and found the space beside him empty. He was overjoyed. Could it be that yesterday's experience was just a dream? However, the sound of a child crying once again plunged him into the abyss. He had to compose himself and get up to check. It turned out that his younger son needed a diaper change, which left Jack, who had no idea how to take care of children, at a loss. Fortunately, his daughter was there to help guide him. The daughter sensed Jack's oddity and suddenly asked, "Do you want to be my dad?" Jack candidly admitted that he was only here to experience life and that perhaps her father would return soon. Under his daughter's guidance, Jack successfully dropped his son off at daycare and his daughter at school. Then he went to the tire shop where he worked. Seeing the photo of him and Kate on the wall, Jack was thankful for how correct his choice had been back then. Otherwise, this kind of life would have accompanied him for a lifetime. Jack was eager to return to his own world, but the homeless man never appeared. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. One day, Jack's family went shopping at the mall. When passing by the suit store he used to frequent, Jack couldn't help but walk in. The salesperson brought him a suit to try on. Looking at himself in the mirror, he thought of his past life. At this moment, Kate also walked over. She complimented Jack, saying he looked very handsome in the suit, but upon seeing the price tag, it was actually $2,400. This was equivalent to the family's 2-month expenses. Kate ordered Jack to take off the suit, leaving no room for negotiation. At this moment, Jack, who had been suppressing his feelings for too long, finally erupted. He lamented about the terrible life every day. Kate never thought her husband would say such things. The Jack she knew wouldn't spend $2,400 on a piece of clothing to improve life satisfaction. In the end, Jack angrily took off the suit. On the way back, the two didn't speak. Jack apologized to Kate for losing his temper earlier, just not understanding how he could be so mediocre. Kate told him that life was full of surprises. When Jack graduated from college, he originally had a bright future ahead of him. However, in order to be with Kate, he gave up his job on Wall Street. It just so happened that Kate's father had developed heart disease at the time. In order to take better care of the family, Jack took over his father-in-law's tire shop and started a stable life with Kate in the suburbs. Upon learning the truth, Jack felt a bit depressed. He went to the bowling alley to vent his emotions. At this time, a woman walked over and took the initiative to strike up a conversation. Jack immediately asked his friend about the woman's address, but his friend scolded him. In this small town, all the men were coveting his wife, yet he was unsatisfied and wanted to find a strange woman. Returning home, Jack apologized to his wife again. By this time, his wife was no longer angry.